TTRLers, we are here with the one, the only Christopher Knolton. Thank you so much for being here, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
I've been a fan of yours forever, but can you talk a little bit about what you do and your experience here in Tampa? Because you are everywhere and do a whole multitude of different art forms.
A whole bunch of things. Yeah. So I am a singer, songwriter, performer. I do a little bit of everything. I do burlesque. I do R&B and soul. But my main thing is like singing. That's just what I do. I do bottle service hosting, a little bit of everything. But my main thing is singing, performing.
Yes, and your voice is like butter.
Oh my God.
I love any chance I can get to hear you sing. So have you been, when did you kind of come into music? Do you come from like a musical family or?
I wouldn't say I come from a musical family. I do have some really good musically inclined family members. My mom, awkwardly enough, she can sing, but she doesn't really, that's not her thing. But I'm the only one that's pursuing it. But music is a big part of our background.
So when was the moment when you were like, okay, so I want to actually do this for a living? Like I want to do a career in music.
I was living in Brooklyn, New York, and there was a little speakeasy around the corner from my apartment. And I was like, I want to go around and, sing at this shop. I had previously auditioned for American Idol, but it wasn't that, like, in my mind. I was just doing it because people said, this is what you should do. And it wasn't like that moment where I was like, I should do this for a living. The moment that I should do this for a living hit is when I was living in Brooklyn and I went to there was like a coffee shop that had an open mic night. And I walked in and I signed up and I was just like standing around and there was like other people around and I was talking, I was waiting for my friend. And it was like just watching the entire thing happen and people were super excited. And then it was like people started singing and then it was my turn to sing. And I was like, in my brain, I blacked out. I don't know what happened, but I could still kind of hear myself. And I was like, I sounded actually good. I was terrified, absolutely terrified, because I still have stage fright. But I was like super terrified. And I was like, I went home and I was like, I really want to do that again. I really want to do it again, like again and again. So that was the moment where I was like, you know what? I really would like to do this for a living every day. And that was when I thought I could sing every single day. But like now I'm like, no, you can't really. You need to take a break. You need
to build in some breaks.
Exactly.
Now, is that also what kind of played it? Because I also feel like one of the reasons why I really love any chance I get to see you perform is not just because you have a really great voice, but you're also a really good performer. Like there's some people who have they're really good recording artists and they just sound really nice to like listen to, but you watch them and you're like, okay, you really like excite a crowd and are, visually interesting and engaging to watch. So is there something about the live experience and kind of how did you get that? Did that just come naturally to you?
I don't know if it comes naturally to me. I think it's because I'm a Sagittarius and I take on a lot of energy. I'm a hard to the core Sagittarius. And so when I feel people's energy, it like comes through me through the song. And it's like a lot of the time it's like songs that I choose, I like have to build a connection with them when I perform them, or else it won't sound right or it won't come off right. And plus, most of the time when you see me on stage, I'm super nervous and I'm like, what do I do next? Keep moving, keep smiling, say something funny. So it's like one of those things where it's like a coping mechanism for being terrified out of my mind is I just do all of the fun things and all the spontaneous things. And I just keep the crowd engaged because I hate when I'm like singing. Sometimes it's a good thing because I know they're actually listening to me. But then other times I'm just like, okay, are they not feeling it? Should I do something else? I need a little bit more feedback. But literally sometimes they're just like, I'm really listening to you. So when I'm performing and I'm on stage, it's like my own little, in my brain, there's a totally another show going on. And it's just like, I'm trying to engage everyone, but there's all these emotions that I'm feeling from people. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it come through in a song. So that's why I pick a lot of R&B songs and a lot of soul songs. I think that's why I choose a lot of Amy Winehouse, because there's an emotional connection with them and I can convey that to the crowd. So.
And now, when did you get into writing your own music?
Oh, typical. I was going through a breakup. I got dumped.
Of course, as every story goes.
And I had stopped doing anything music related. I was just kind of like coasting through performances. So it was kind of like I was going through a breakup, and then people were like, hey, can you sing here? And I'm like, yes. And I'm thinking to myself, don't sing a sad song. Don't sing a sad song. First song, come on, sad song. And I'm like, all right, well, can we just get that out of the way? But it was one of those things where I was connecting, but I was like emotionally all the way out there and all over the place. So then I was like, you know what? I think I should get some of these emotions out and put them on paper and like look at them so they'll be out of my system.
And so the song that we are showing in this episode is from a few years ago. Could you talk a little bit about that song? And I know you're also working on a new album. So could you give us a little tease of what's to come?
So Love on the Edge is, it's the title track to, and I don't know if you're supposed to release the title track first, but I actually released one random song just to see how the music industry works and see how things go. And then I was like, well, I probably should have released the song that I have a music video with, but I've never done anything the correct way. So I just went for it. I had the pleasure of working with a few guys that wanted to shoot a music video, and I had just written this song and I had put it on Reverb Nation. And Love on the Edge is basically, it's like a little story about like the different versions of love. Like everyone can have, people have their best friend where they say, I love you. They have their mistress where they say, I love you. They have, their family members, they say they love you. And it's like, there's so many different forms of love, but I've always been involved with the kind of edgy love. It's just like every time I say I love you to someone, that's a big step for me. Like I said, I'm a Sagittarius. So it's like, there's so many emotions involved in like saying the word I love you. And there's so many places where it happens. And so Love on the Edge is just like a little small journey of like, I would say it's like love in a nightclub and at a bar. And in the music video, I've had the pleasure of shooting that video at the Honey Pot with my really good friend, Katie James, who has Femmes and Follies burlesque show. And we shot it with like a bartender, Carissa and Bob, and they're just such amazing people. And I've actually grown with them because like I said at the beginning, when I was going through my breakup, I subsequently got a job at Honey Pot. So I had to start a new job, go through a breakup, but then the people that were there were just so welcoming. And it was this gigantic family. There was no other place I wanted to shoot a music video. And with the people that were in the music video, there's no better way that I would have wanted to come down. And I can't really wait to release the album because the album is one of those albums where it's just like it's a small story, but it's a big story. And it involves a lot of different people and places and moving parts. So Love on the Edge is just a story about being in love, whether it's like a consistent love or a crazy love or a hidden love or an out loud love, it's still a story about love. To the dance floor we'll go. On the edge of love we'll be. Just dance on the edge with me. Love on the edge. 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 I can love hard sometimes. I can be the killer in the crowd, be a lover out loud. Watch me make the earth move inside. My love won't hide. By the looks you haven't tried. Can I have a moment? I can be your lover out loud. Make the earth move inside. Love on the edge. 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 Love on the
We are back with CL Editor-in-Chief, Ray Roa, and the Oracle of Ybor, or the Yborical, Caroline DeBrule. It is so great to see you. I can't believe I've gone a month without you in my life.
It's been a really long time.
It really is a tragedy. So.
It should be illegal. So what's new? What's the latest and greatest?
Obviously, concerts are insane right now. I think we posted like 100 new concerts last week.
Jesus.
So it's a little bit much, but Josh Bradley's doing a really good job of doing that. Stephanie Powers, who you're very familiar with at this point, has been.
I'm going to my first hot dog eating contest at Crowbar.
Mazel tov.
Spoiler alert, I will be competing. I'll be competing in that hot dog eating contest. Yeah.
Oh my God, I will be cheering you on. Now I have a horse in the race.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So at hot dog, this is hot dog 15 now. At hot dog 5, I ate 11 hot dogs in 8 minutes. So I'm doing a little favor and competing. Tom asked me to compete, so we'll try again.
Right,
So,
you heard it here, folks. Will Ray get to 12 hot dogs?
I should have consulted Caroline first, but
No, because I'm gonna just like tell you one thing, and then I'm gonna like run a book on something else. Be like, all right, who's play some money on the race? Come on. These are the odds. So.
Well, Caroline has a great column this week too.
So a very exciting development in the advice columnist world. So much of, because I started this during the pandemic, so many questions have been people worried about like, should they quit their job? Like they really hate their job. Like what do they do? And so much of it has been me being like, well, you really need health insurance, but see what your options are. And I finally got a question and someone was like, I did it, I quit. So what do I do now? So that was, very exciting to see the progress go. Like the person wrote and they are worried about, what they're going to do because they're taking a pay cut. And like, they really want to have more of a work-life balance. And so that that question was, what is going to happen? It's like, you're going to be worried about money for a long time. But it was really about like checking in with people, especially like cards came up where it's like, it feels like there is somebody that you're in it with, like somebody that they're sharing finances with. Like that is something that you really should like lean on, and like somebody that you should, go forth and like, if this is a decision like you've made and like the people in your life are like, go for it, then it is like a very solid thing. And so it's like you gotta like trust and like ask for help, both like financially or emotionally, and then we like go forth on the new adventure. So
I love it. And that's so, topical right now because, they're calling it the Great Resignation this summer, like that people in record numbers are quitting their jobs. And so I think as you found over, like you were saying, over the pandemic, there have been lots of people who are kind of mulling this over and like, I think all of our eyes are kind of opened about like where to put our priorities.
Yeah, and there was a question from the last Oracle column that ran, which was somebody was wondering, they wanted to start a new job, and they're like, I don't really know like what kind of career I'd want to do. I just like, maybe it'd be like a yoga studio, maybe like a coffee shop. And the way that the cards went with that, it's like I don't think you want a new job. I think you just like want a new life. And it's like restart something to be like, have something that you enjoy or something that you find fulfilling or something that like people like depend on you. And so it is, we live in a country where like work is very much a part of our identity. It's a lot of times when you meet somebody new, the first thing you're asked is like, so what do you do? As opposed to be like, do you believe in ghosts, or like, what did you learn from a podcast? So it, it is very much a part of us. And so like changing over jobs or changing over things, like it is, it's a deeply personal thing. It feels like you're changing like a part of your identity. And it's wonderful to like go and explore. It's terrifying. And hopefully that like, money follows suit and then you're able to have your needs met. But it is a wonderful time that I think we're all in right now, where it's like we're all like willing to like take a risk and like take a jump.
Can the next column please be small talk tip, how to spice up your small talk with the Ybor?
Absolutely, yeah. Being an Aquarius, it's just like that's my sun sign and my Mercury. It's like just asking like weird things.
Hey TTRLers, I am here with the ever so fabulous Rob Ward. How's it going, Rob?
Good. Just enjoying one of those famous Central Florida storms that's going by.
I don't even know where to start.
Me neither.
You're a director, you're a performer, and you have a new persona or kind of a reintroduction of a persona that you just introduced to Florida audiences recently. So I wanted to chat with you about P Sparkle.
P Sparkle is an evolution of a character I've been playing for almost 15 years now throughout Central Florida, named Pepe. And so Pepe's roots have always been mysterious, and he's always just been a being of fun and silliness and a lot of fabulousness wherever he goes. And the statement has always been to be bigger and bigger and bigger every time I'm seen. So this past year gave me an opportunity to really reinvent Pepe a little bit and dive deeper into his roots. And he took a special DNA test and discovered that he is mostly random European and then 5% that bitch. So now Pepe has rebranded himself as P Sparkle. So you can see behind me some fabulous hair that I get to wear when I do my shows, and I wear 10-inch platform boots and the sparkliest of everything I can possibly find. I do random performances all around, but we have a regular show called Truth or Dare Improv at SAC Comedy Lab, which is here in downtown Orlando. And so P Sparkle hosts that show, and it's a adults only, uncensored, very LGBT friendly, wild show that we do that's fully improvised. I have an amazing team of improvisers who come and join us, and we get crazy, and all kinds of silliness goes on during that show. It's so much fun. We do it the last Thursday of every month at 9:30.
How has it been now being able to, because I feel like just a few, we've kind of been on the same path at the Strat Center, and and, you know, just myself going to more events, it just feels so nice to be able to be in a room with people and experiencing live performance.
It really is. It's you know, it was wonderful to get back up on stage, even with the masks on, but it was so different, and really had to relearn the craft, you know, because it just was such a different way to appeal to your audiences when you don't have your full face to work with, and to deal with comedy audiences who are not sitting in a big group and who have masks over their face, so they're not as free to laugh loudly as they're used to. And it was a major retraining of the brain. So now getting in to do shows and not wearing a mask and a grouped up audience who's ready to have fun, really, it feels almost like a vacation while you're performing now. And I love it. But I will say, one good thing that came out of it is I feel like I learned how to do comedy in the worst way you could possibly do comedy. So now I feel so strong getting up there and able to do my craft the way that I learned it originally. And I'm like, oh, this is so easy now. You guys will laugh at anything. So it really, because I feel prepared for almost anything now.
Yes, I'm imagining you in like 50 years, like with a cigarette teaching improv students, like, you think this is hard? Back in 2020.
Yeah. Well, and I do teach improv classes, and one of the classes that I'm with now, I've been with them since they started right at the, we were kind of in the middle of everything. So they also in class were only allowed to wear masks and couldn't sit like in seats right next to each other and couldn't touch each other during scenes. And improv is a world of making eye contact and connecting with each other and forming connections, sometimes physical connections, where you touch someone's shoulder or you're connected. So having to teach improv in a way too that kept everybody so spaced out and separated and not able to use their whole faces. So my classes now, I'm like, you guys, look how prepared you are for everything though, because you learned how to do it now with all these restrictions. Now you're getting to do shows without them. Don't you feel good?
Anyone in Florida probably has like 2 degrees of separation from Rob Ward, because I feel like you are beloved by everyone and know everyone. And I was surprised when I first met you and had my first kind of Orlando fringe experience, just how many different styles of performance and people making a living as performers here. It just was so invigorating.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realize that about Orlando, is that Orlando is such a arts focused community. A lot of that is because of the theme parks, because the theme parks created thousands of jobs for performers. So people moved here from, people who had performed on Broadway for years and people who had done national tours. A lot of them were moving here to Orlando because there was places where they could have steady work performing and, be a performer, but also be on a salary and get insurance and 401k and all that crazy stuff. So Orlando just has this giant community of artists who have all different disciplines and skills. And so it is great, especially at an event like the Orlando International Fringe Theater Festival, where they're all gathered in one place together, and you see hundreds of shows that range from, a very serious one-person drama to, the show I did a couple years ago, which is Pepe's Playhouse, where we just randomly brought audience members on stage and had them show us their tattoos, and we made up stories and, all these silly things. So we go from silly to serious, from one show to the next. And I love that about our community, and I love that it is a diverse community. I think, like all theater communities, we can do better in the world of diversity and are making steps to do better. But you will find a melting pot of everything here in Orlando, which is what I love about it. It's what's kept me here for so many years.
And you've been able to do so much. I feel like, you really have been able to craft a strong on-stage persona, but also I know you do lots of directing and all of that. So can you kind of talk a little bit about your on-stage and behind the scenes lives? Like, kind of how do you balance that? And how do you find you're equally interested in both?
I've branched in so many different ways. I grew up as someone who just loved being around theater and entertainment. And I remember even growing up that I was like, I don't care what I'm doing, I just need to be in this world, which made me want to learn about all the different sides of that world. So I've done everything from business administration for theaters. I was the company manager for Blue Man Group here in Orlando for 3 years, and learned amazing things from that company. And while I was there, I would always talk to the artistic staff because I wanted to know about their process and learn more about what they did. And that's really a lot of where I learned a lot of my directing skill, was just from sitting in on rehearsals and talking to the directors and asking them what they were doing and why they were doing different things, picking up habits that I was like, I would love to do more of that, or I wouldn't want to do that. And so then I started to develop my director voice that way. And throughout all of that, I was also writing. So over time, I started working with cruise lines like Norwegian Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean, and writing shows and directing shows for them, which led me to Walt Disney World, where I worked for 6 years before the pandemic, creating and directing and writing. And so I've always loved being immersed in that world, no matter what side of it I'm on, which has made me able to really have such a vast knowledge of our industry that I love. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, okay, but do you consider yourself an improv teacher, a performer, a writer, or a director? What are you? And I was like, I'm all of that. That's what I want to be. And it's worked out great for me because it means I'm always working. There's always a project.
I love it. And then, so I also wanted to talk about, so on your P Sparkle persona, when it being Pride Month, because you had been doing Pepe for 15 years now, you said, and the world 15 years ago looked totally different. And I think I'm interested to hear your thoughts on kind of how, obviously evolving Pepe into P Sparkle is an evolution and reminiscent of kind of evolving with the times. And, I'm sure the impact of Pepe has changed as well over time, and kind of, obviously we have a lot more visibility in queer performance and all of that now, but I just would kind of be interested in your thoughts of how, I guess, how you've seen that style of performance evolve, and how you feel performing as P Sparkle now versus as when you started.
I've loved to watch the evolution of the world that we've been in for those years. Of course, there is a lot farther that we need to go, but looking at when I first started doing Pepe, it was almost a rebellion to play this character who was flamboyant, larger than life. You could not mistake that blatantly homosexual character in your face about it all, and not hiding, not afraid, just right out there for the whole world to see. 15 years ago, that was a little more controversial than it is now. And so it's been interesting to watch that evolution over time, whereas now it's not really rebellion anymore as much as it's celebration. And one of the things I think about is, I remember when I used to play the character, I was in these off the beaten path clubs, right, and bars that were their own area away from kind of the rest of the world. And I was booked to do a gig once in downtown Orlando, and I remember thinking, okay, well, I can't be in any part of my costume to walk through the city, you know what I mean? So I have to have a place when I arrive there that I can change into my costume, so I'm not going to be outside in the public, in that costume, just in case, to whereas now I don't even think about it. So, I've arrived in costume, I've walked through downtown in my big platforms and that giant rainbow wig. And the worst thing is that I keep getting stopped because people want to take pictures with me. And I don't feel any kind of like fear or like a threat, it's more celebration. I walk by and people are just going, oh yeah, hey, it was great. So that's been an exciting evolution to watch as the world gets stronger and stronger. That said, there's still a far way to go. There's still plenty of people who are threatened. There's still hate crimes that happen out there. I've been just very lucky and blessed that I live in a community where Orlando is a pretty progressive and accepting place.
Exactly. I think that's so well said. I love that, going from a rebellion to a celebration. And I think also you having been doing this for 15 years and growing this performance is visibility for others too. Even if they're just visiting in town, to be able to. Yeah. That's what I kind of keep reminding myself with. I think I actually just heard. I'm not sure if it's a conversation I was having or I just heard it on another podcast, but it was like about the constant complaint of Pride being like, oh, people don't know like the struggle and what we're really fighting for. It's just like one big party. But then also at the other side, it kind of like, it should be, the visibility and like thinking of like, sometimes that's someone's only access to the community, or to see themselves and to feel free, and that they can let themselves go and party and before they have to go back to their community that isn't as visible or accessible or safe.
Yeah.
So
I say that all the time. I'm on the board. I'm the entertainment director of Come Out with Pride here in Orlando, and I have people always say like, oh well, is Pride even necessary anymore? And I'm like, absolutely, it is. The threats are still there. There's still a world. There's still plenty of families who reject their own children because they don't fit a mold that they thought they would be in. And there's still young people everywhere who are terrified to come out because they don't know if they'll be accepted for themselves. They don't know if they'll be treated like human beings. And they also don't know if they're going to be just ostracized, So to give a day, a weekend where just the whole community comes together in a celebration and everything is out and visible and in front of them in a place where we're like, hey, you belong. And there's thousands of people like you who are ready to accept you into their community. I can't see anything that could be more important than that for that young person's world.
Sparkle, and you've been here before, make some noise! Welcome back. How many of you feel like you might have made a mistake and you want to leave now? You can. Anybody? Yeah? You can go. You already paid. I don't care what happens now. I got your money. We're good. So listen, if you are ready for a wild, crazy, insane night, make some noise! My hetero white Republicans out there, I love you too. I just got nothing for you in this show. So just, grin and bear with it. How you doing? Good to see you. I'm glad you ducked so that you were not seen. They'll never see you. Oh, you brought her liquor. You're such a nice man. Is this your date? This is my sister. Wait. We are in the South. Is this your date? We're an island around the South. That is what we do. Also tonight, we're gonna need all of you to scream, yell, and participate and be like good old white trash at a Biffalo school bus race, all right? So let me hear you all make some noise. Make some noise. Oh, I love it. Do it one more time. Scream, babies. So good. That was free glitter for you. And anyone else who wants some, it's all right here. If you would get that, our volunteers don't like cleaning this up, so someone just roll in this and you're gonna look so good. So good. Look at you. Hi, how are you? I like your beard. It's very nice. And isn't that a pride shirt? I don't know. It's like a non-committal pride shirt. It's like an almost rainbow, and I like that. That's your partner. Oh, that's so cute. Look at that. They're so cute. Look at the daddy and the twink and the... Straight people, daddies are like, daddy. And then twinks are like, the young and like, oh, hi. So We know who's doing who over there. It's great. And we love it.